thoughts, share the knowledge within themselves, but also with the external side, for example, your customers or users of your product. It's a very flexible system. It helps you do a lot of stuff. For example, get together a team wiki, or put together some project documentation, or take notes for yourself, or take notes for sharing with your team, but also helps you gather technical documentation. For example, you might have architecture diagrams, or you might have API docs or change logs or stuff like that, videos, images. It's an advanced writing system that lets you share internally with your team, but also externally with your customers, and even on your own domain. So I think that's a very big description of what it does. So I would suggest I share the screen next, and we go to the homepage, or maybe talk a bit more about the use cases.
Sounds like a plan. As usual, if you guys have questions, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below, so that way we can get them answered for you live here on this call.
Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Sure. So as you can see here, we say you can document everything and anything in your company. This means from taking notes for yourself or for your team, or creating technical internal documentation, or writing executive notes, or writing executive summaries for your investors, or maybe share internal playbooks for your support team, and even make project documentation that you can share on your own domain with your customers. Either you have a product, or you have a service that you want to let people know how it works. That's called a knowledge base, and you can do this in our software. So this is very descriptive of what it does. It basically gathers and structures information, and instead of you doing all these things together to get a knowledge base for your customers, you can just use Archbee, and that's it. It's an online system. It helps you real-time sync with your teammates, and it also helps you share it with outside world. A couple of use cases that we've seen our customers do are Team Wiki. Basically, it's a new generation Team Wiki that is real-time and syncs in real time with your teams. For example, you might have remote teams that work on different parts of the globe. We have you covered, because everything syncs in real time, and there's no need to handle conflicts when two people are editing the same document at the same time. Knowledge base is the external part, where you have certain spaces in our software shared with outside world. You can share them with an Archbee link, or you can share them on your own domain. Also here, it's worthy of mentioning that you can also secure the knowledge base, the external knowledge base, with a space-wide password or guest accounts. For example, sometimes you might have a knowledge base that you share externally, but you still don't want anybody to have access to it. You might have some enterprise customers that have strict security policies, and they might need for you to create certain accounts for them. We have this covered, and guest accounts are free, and you can create as many as you want, and you're not going to pay for them. You can share them with your customers. Now, project documentation is more oriented towards technical teams that need to maybe share internally or externally at the same time stuff like technical documentation for APIs, or architecture diagrams, or change logs, or maps, or lots of widgets that we have prepared that engineers and technical writers can use in day-to-day work. Also works as a notes app that lets you take any kind of notes, lets you structure your own thoughts, lets you maybe organize bigger tasks in Jira or in Asana in smaller tasks that you work, and at the same time write documentation so other teammates can know what you are thinking and what you are working uh, and how you structured your work, let's say so. And like I said, these kind of notes can be anything. It's a writing system. So these are the use cases that we have found so far. These are the major use cases, but every day we find out new stuff. For example, we have a new team, a new customer that is using Archbee for their content team. So they're writing and editing articles at the same time. They're using basically how teams are using Google Docs to write content, and they can collaborate in real time on the content. These are kind of the main use cases we have found, and we're finding many others. I think this is a call we're also supposed to talk about case studies from our customers, right, Chen? Richard?
We're here to definitely give real world use cases, because a lot of times people, they hear about documentation and they say, well, how's it going to help me? How can I implement it into my business? And usually when you see an actual use case, it gives you more ideas. It's like, hey, I didn't think of that before. Maybe this is how I would want to implement it in my business as well. So it's always exciting to hear about various users' use cases. So if you have a few, that would be awesome if you could share that with us.
Sure. So I prepared a few case studies from Archbee from our customers, and I will present the screen so you can see it bigger. So like you said, sometimes we don't see, or it's very hard to quantify the return on investment on making our team document stuff. It's one of the things that's very hard to put into numbers, and people love numbers. For example, you can say our company grew 40%, and that's great because it has a big impact on how you think about things. But documentation is one of those things you cannot put a number on the ROI because it has multiple implications. For example, if you don't document, people onboard slower, your team gets desynced, your work gets slower, but you don't know how much. It's impossible to put a number on it. Continuing from this discussion, one of our customers, WayDev, it's a system for analyzing Git and how your team is, I don't want to say performing, but it gives you the alternative of trusting your gut feeling when you are talking with your engineers. You now basically with them have a data-driven way of knowing what the impact was on the code base. So WayDev found us on Product Hunt like 4 or 5 months ago, and they were previously using Google Docs, and they were 5 people. They tried it with a small use case. They tried writing and editing blog posts for WordPress, but then after they found out the features of the product, they started using it for more and more stuff. For example, they started documenting internal processes for like how to talk to a customer when he's angry, how to talk to a customer when he wants to upgrade to a new subscription, how to talk to a customer when he's giving feedback, how to ask for an endorsement, and all these kind of communications that newer people would use to get productive really soon when they join their team. And they're growing very fast as a team. We're not going to take credit for that, of course, but maybe a small percentage of it, 1%, let's say so. They're a great team, and they're making very fast progress. we've seen in the last 2 months, even their engineering team came in the platform and started documenting their own stuff, like the architecture of their software, API documentation with Swagger, which is an open standard for building and documenting APIs, and even know-how. For example, they have a bottleneck that they know internally of, and they're not going to fix it until they reach a bigger customer, for example, who has 10,000 engineers or 5,000 engineers, I guess. But the simple fact that they have documented this bottleneck, they're going to know about it, and the whole team, and even newer people that join right now, the team, are going to be able to get a grasp really quickly about where the system is.
That's awesome. So just to recap what you just said for anyone who's currently joining us, because we actually have a lot of people now joining us on the call. This company, Waydev, is using the Archbee SaaS to help streamline all their documentation communication online. So we were given examples about customer service. You know, you want to make sure that your messaging is on brand, and you've already pre-written certain blocks of text, whether it's to get referrals or thank a customer or even dealing with a negative customer. That is priceless, because now your customer service agent knows exactly where to go to get the copy to respond to that issue or that referral, or whatever case comes along the way. And it also helps the owner of the company keep track of everything, because if you have a team of engineers, for example, who are working on API docs, then not only can the owner of the company look at the customer service department, they also look at the engineering department without having to switch in and out between various apps or softwares. So did I get that right?
Yeah, that's a great summary. I think you even made it better than I did.
Awesome. So let's continue. Actually, before we continue, somebody asked us a question. Can you white label Archbee?
Yeah, you can. You probably mean white labeling for the outside world. When you share something from Archbee to the outside world, you maybe don't want to have the Archbee logo and stuff like that. Sure, you can. It's a flag that you can check on or off when you share a space or a document.
Perfect. So hopefully that answers that person's question. And I'm going to give the stage back to you so you can continue.
Sure. So Waydev is a great team. You might have this need yourself when you're working with many engineers and trying not to trust your gut feeling, but be objective about the work they are doing. I'm trying to give them a shout out here. Go to waydev.co and you're going to be impressed about the progress they're doing. They're very innovative and they're doing stuff almost nobody else is doing. Shout outs to them. I want to go to the next case study, which is PortfolioBox. PortfolioBox is a website builder and host for creatives. For example, you might think about designers or videographers that make videos. Sometimes they have portfolios and they want to show them to the outside world to get new customers or impress some of their current customers to get more work from them. So basically, PortfolioBox lets you create your own website and at the same time host it. They came to Archbee using it for their customer support team. When one of their leads in the support team left because she was on maternity leave, they felt the how do you call it, the pain of tribal knowledge. Tribal knowledge is stuff that you have in your head, but you never write it down for anybody, not even for yourself. And when you leave the company and whatever you weigh, your teammates and new onboardees are going to feel the pain because they're not going to have all the information that you had.
Right.
So PortfolioBox was searching for a solution to tribal knowledge. When they came to Archbee, they saw how fast and easy the software is to use, and they started using it for all their support team. Now, like I mentioned with WayDev, it's kind of the same thing. They're trying to have a knowledge base about how to talk to the customers, even for outreach. They have their emails in there, their emails templates, how they call it, email scripts, I guess it's called.
Yep.
Yeah. They document the whole internal processes and know-how and how to treat and respond to customers. I saw one of their prepared responses even on Twitter, because I follow them on Twitter. So it seems to be working very great. PortfolioBox is also a company that has multiple versions of the products in production. For example, PortfolioBox 2, 3, and 4 are used simultaneously by people. And they have these different versions. And at the same time, they have different needs for the documentation on these versions. You might think that they would respond the same, and they do, but things are different for each version.
Right.
Pricing is different for each version. How they set up CNAMEs for DNS when you host on their website is different. A lot of things are different between these versions, and it would be really crazy to think that somebody new when he joins the company for the support team would know all these things and would know all the history that the company has been through from version 2 to the currently version 4. And this is great. I mean, this is one of the use cases we personally haven't anticipated, and they are teaching us how they use our software. It's awesome.
It's very creative. So that means you have a very flexible system, right?
Yes, I think so. I like to think so. So, yeah. So, big shout outs to them. If you are creative and maybe even more, I think they're, I've looked at their software. It's more generic than that. It's just that they're market themselves to creatives. If you want to have a website, build it and host it with them. Go to portfoliobox.net and you'll be really happy being their customer.
Cool.
I think I jumped over one. Wick is a Shopify agency and experts that can help you build your e-commerce platform with Shopify. With the current direct-to-consumer explosion, they've grown tremendously over the past few months, and they have lots of companies for outdoors gear and such, and they are getting customers each and every day. And of course, their documentation needs becomes more because their customers want custom websites built on Shopify, and they want custom components, and Shopify has a new framework that helps them build on top of. It's called Shopify Polaris for React framework. And they actually are building a lot of software, even though you might think Shopify is an all-in-one and everybody can use it. That's true. But at the same time, when you want custom stuff made on top of Shopify, you need agencies like Wick Creative that can basically take you from the standard Shopify experience to a full-fledged customized experience for your brand. They came to Archbee. They were actually one of the first customers when we launched last year in July, or I think it was, they came around in early August. They are one of our first customers, and they came from an open source wiki. They weren't happy with it because they always had to manage it themselves. They had to install it on their servers, make sure it keeps running. And they actually wrote some custom plugin for it because they couldn't actually share it with their customers. And they tried to do it themselves, but they actually gave up because it's too much work. And when there's solutions out there that do this by default, why not pick one of them?
Right.
So they came from us from using open source wikis and Google Docs. Like I said, they build the documentation for their customers in D2C. they are one of the biggest users of our guest accounts. They are sharing close to 20 or 30, 23, I mean, 23 spaces with their customers, and each one of those spaces has different guest accounts for them. Guest accounts, by the way, are a free feature from Archbee. It lets you create guest accounts for publicly shared spaces.
Basically, view only, correct? They can't edit, they can't make changes.
Yes, they are view only for the shared external spaces. They cannot edit, but soon they will be able to provide feedback through the external website, external space, I mean.
And will that feedback be public or will that feedback be internal?
We are currently wanting to make it only internal, but we might be able to configure it.
Okay.
So if they want to have the feedback be public, they might be able to do that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So all this documentation so far was basically text and images and videos and how to do stuff. But recently, once they got their bigger clients that wanted to have more and more custom stuff, when they started using the Shopify Polaris, they hired developers, and everything became more and more complex, and they basically needed technical documentation too, on top of their regular text and videos and images and stuff like that. So they started using our other features like API docs. They have these custom webhooks that they use with how's it called, with Zapier, and they have built so that Zapier connects with the webhook, and the webhook connects with Shopify to make the user experience even more customized. And basically, they have an API documentation that helps them describe this webhook to their customers. Of course, their customers might not be the biggest technical companies either, but they also have a couple of in-house or even outsourced developers that use those technical docs. Also, this is one of the greatest customer that uses workspaces. Workspaces in Archbee are a way of having one account and multiple workspaces. For example, if you are employed in a company, at the same time you're doing your own consultancy or e-commerce gig, and at the same time you have your personal notes in there, you might be logged in 3 different workspaces. Before we launched this, people would have to log out and log in with a new email. Right now, with workspaces, they only have one email, and with one click you can change workspaces and have and see and edit the documentation from that workspace. So this is great for agencies and business owners that might own multiple businesses. Shout out to Wick. They are advancing miraculously and have a great team inside. And if you have a need for Shopify experts, I suggest you go to them on wickcreative.com.
Awesome.
And the last case study is Color Elephant. Color Elephant is a remote software development agency. They have big names as customers like Microsoft, BMW, L'Oreal, even Evernote, I think, which is kind of a competitor of ours. So I guess that says a lot if they're not using Evernote and they're using Archbee. So they use spaces to separate projects for their customers, so their employees are being more productive. For example, when you're a software development agencies, you are most likely having multiple customers that you are working with at the same time. And when you have multiple customers, you might not want to have your employees see all that work for projects they are not working in. So spaces are a great way to make sure everybody is focused on the project or the product they are building. recently they saw how great the diagrams are and API docs are and change logs, and started bringing more of their engineering team. And as you know, engineers are not the biggest, are not the happiest people when they have to document stuff. But actually having this stuff at one click's distance helps a lot with their engagement and desire to do so. They are 30 remote people and growing, and onboarding is very easy having Archbee in place because they have all this knowledge base. It's easy to onboard new people, and they have all this knowledge to read when they come in the next 2 or 3 weeks. They're ready to pump out new code and bring value to their customers. If you have a bigger company and maybe you cannot take stuff inside anymore, and you want to build it with other companies, I suggest you go to Color Elephant. They're great. I saw many great reviews on their website from bigger companies, and amazing. Very proud of our customers and how they progress. Yeah, this is the last case study. We've talked about WadeDev. We've talked about Wick and how they help Shopify platform owners. PortfolioBox with portfolio websites for creatives, and Color Elephant software development agency. These are 4 of the main customers. I picked them so you can see the variety of use cases and how do I say this? The variety of things you can do with Archbee, which is in addition to being very, very fast, it's also very flexible.
Right. That's definitely something that you showed with us today, considering how you can use this for onboarding, you can use this for API documentation, you can use this for customer service. There's really no limit to what you can use Archbee for. And that's actually something that I really like personally, because every time I work with a client that I consult with, their biggest complaint is that they can't document everything, or they don't have all their systems in one place. So if you have a product like Archbee that allows people to document everything from onboarding to customer service, and it's a one-stop shop for knowledge-based team wiki, product documentation, or even note-taking, it's priceless. I really think that this is a product everybody should jump on when we go live tomorrow. And to give you guys an idea of what tomorrow's going to be like, we're going to be back here at 10 a.m. Eastern, and Dragos is going to go through a live onboarding with Archbee, from account creation to setting up a couple of help documents to setting up a couple of mock public-facing documents, and then show us, and he'll show me, and I'll share my screen of what it will look like from a customer's point of view. So that way you guys can get a sense of where you can take this product, how to implement it in your business. And if you have questions, we can solve those questions live on the call on how to use Archbee, from maybe even do a white label example, showing somebody how to set it up on their domain. Do you think that's possible?
Yes, yeah, it's very possible. So certificate generation usually happens within less than 1 minute. So it's all possible. We can do it. We can do everything in less than 10 minutes, I guess. Maybe half an hour for the whole workflow from sign up to doing everything in the app.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm really happy to share all this with you guys.
That's really exciting. So let me see if there's some questions on our page. Give me 1 second. Through out comments. Give me 1 second. Oh, I believe somebody asked what if you have a public-facing roadmap. I believe you have it on your website.
Yes, we do have it.
So can you show them where to look for it? Oh, it's at the bottom of the website on the roadmap.
It's at the bottom. It's self-hosted by us. This is actually a public space. It's on self-hosted on roadmap.archbee.io, and we have a bunch of planned features here, showing you what's in progress and what we have released over the past 4 or 5 months. you can see everything in here. It's all public. We are doing public development and customer oriented development. So all these features that you see here are requested by our customers, and we have built it for them.
Awesome. So the docs powered by Archbee can be removed, correct? At the bottom left hand.
Yeah, this is exactly. When you are in Archbee, you can just check off branding. You can say, I don't want Archbee branding on the public website, and it's gonna disappear from here.
Perfect. And then on the right hand side,
about that, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say on the right hand side, there's a column saying on this page. What is this feature here? Basically, it'll jump to whatever section that you click on, correct?
Yeah, this is basically a table of content here. When you have bigger documents like this, you're gonna see the outline of it. So as you can see here, workspaces. This is an H3 equivalent in HTML or in the app. Let me just show you this in the Archbee itself. So this is the public space, as you can see here, roadmap.archbee.io, and this is the editor for it. And what you can see here is that this is a H3, and this stuff here gets generated automatically from the content of the document. You're never gonna have to build this stuff yourself and do it manually. So
you thought of everything.
Sorry?
You thought of everything.
Almost. This is actually coming from a customer. So we always listen to the customers and implement almost. I think we have 90% of the features that they requested for are implemented here.
Okay. And speaking about customer support, how fast can somebody expect to get a turnaround on an inquiry?
Sure. We usually answer within half an hour. Even if it's not paid, because we are not, let's say, we have enough workroom, but let's say if things get very faster, much faster in the next couple of days, you might expect 1 hour to 4 hours, something like that. You're gonna
business day.
Yeah, we're definitely striving to get an answer in maximum of business day.
That's awesome. That's what I like to hear. I'm sure a lot of customers like to hear that too, because as you know, the longer it takes for a customer to get a response, they get frustrated. So it's very refreshing for me to hear that you're prioritizing that customer service.
We are. So one of the main things is we make it very easy for you to talk to us. We have this chat widget here. You can write us immediately and we're gonna respond. You're not gonna have to go through email or a ticketing system that might take days or weeks to solve.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's any more questions. If not, we can end the call and let's see. Oh, one more thing. Since we're here live, we are actually giving away 5 free licenses of Archbee in exchange for honest, unbiased video testimonials. So if you guys want to actually get a full working lifetime deal of Archbee, all you have to do is leave a comment in this video below saying Archbee, and we will randomly select people to test drive the product as we go live tomorrow. And all you have to do is tell us what you like about it. So if you want a free license, make sure you guys drop that comment and we will take care of you. We just had a question come in. Is it possible to export the documents as a docx or to WordPress?
Right now, no. We have importing from docx and we have exporting from to Markdown or PDF. docx has turned out to export to docx has turned out to be a bit more complicated than we thought to, but it's coming. PDF. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I was hearing myself and I thought maybe I got cut off.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're here.
Yeah, so DocX is coming. We don't have it right now, but it's going to be here soon. And
So
the
it's on the roadmap.
WordPress, in the WordPress format, uh, I'm not sure. We haven't investigated what it would take. Uh, I don't even know what WordPress is actually accepting as an input. So I'll do the research and see and put it on on the roadmap if it's feasible.
Okay, got another question. It's, can documents be shown based on a role or a user group?
Yes, they can. So in the team management, in the team management settings, you can see we have user groups that you can assign to different users in your team, and you can even create custom user groups. And then with those user groups, you can go into the main workspace and select for each space who has access and what kind of access has each of those users or groups. As you can see, you can also select individual users here, but you can also create, select user groups, and you can have them only read or even write stuff. So yeah, you can.
Oh, that's awesome. So you can create a customer service group, for example, and instead of manually entering every single person, just put everyone to the customer service group and they'll automatically have access to all the customer service docs. Or if you have the engineers, you throw everyone into the engineer group and they automatically have access to all the engineering docs.
Yes, and we actually make it, so this is possible what you are saying, and we make it by default, we make it an open workspace because we want, we've seen when everything is shared, companies benefit, and it also benefits us because it drives more engagement. Actually, we've seen engineers dive into the documentation from the marketing team because they want to learn for themselves, or the other way around. We've seen executives look at what somebody from the support team is doing because they want to know how they're treating their customers and what processes and know-how they have in place. So we're making it by default an open space, but you can also have restrictions if you want to with user groups and individual users like you saw before.
Okay, and then Nicholas has a follow-up question to that. So if you do that on the internal side, can you do that for guests as well? So limit guests based on maybe like a password or adding passwords to documents to prevent certain types of people from reading it?
Yes, we can. So when you go to a space and you see here the public space security, you can have multiple options. When none is selected, everybody can see it. When you have a password, you can set the password and send the password to everybody who needs to access that space. And basically, you only need a space-wide password to access it. But also, you can create guest accounts for those people that want to access it externally. You can create them here, send them the details. Soon we're going to be sending the details automatically. Right now it doesn't. But you have these options right now to restrict access to public spaces with password or guest accounts. I don't leave it to none.
Awesome. And then Nicholas asked one more question. Can we collect feedback on the document? I believe you said that's on the roadmap.
Yeah, that's on the roadmap. We have an intercom integration that can basically collect feedback manually. When you put your intercom ID in here on the public space, you're gonna see the intercom bubble here, and your customers will be able to talk to you automatically. And if you have a different system than intercom, which most people do, we're gonna have soon. It's also on the roadmap. We're gonna have custom JavaScript, so you can have anything like Help Crunch or Crisp Chat or anything integrated into this space here that's shared externally.
Okay. And one more question. Can we embed videos into the document? So I'm assuming like a source from YouTube or any other like Google Drive.
So this is the editor for the content. And as you can see here, we have a bunch of options. We have a bunch of integrations that I'm going to show you a bit later. So you can add images and videos, YouTube and Vimeo videos, and lots of options here. And if you want to know how much stuff you can embed into our editor, you can see the full list of integrations on archbee.io/integrations. And there's lots of stuff here, a lot of very popular software as a service today, from Airtable to Trello to Figma for designers to Intercom to Numeracy for developers, GitHub, Lucidchart, Typeform. And we're constantly bringing more and more integrations. And just to show you how it looks like, we have these demo docs here. And let's look at Trello, or this is how an embedding from Trello looks like, or let's look at Airtable. This is actually an Airtable document that updates in real time, and you can view a larger version and you can edit it anytime here.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, but also on the roadmap, if you look at it closely, we have databases. So basically, soon, in 1 or 2 months, you're never going to have to need stuff like Airtable again for the outside, because we're going to do this internally.
Okay.
So that's one more use case. You can have wimpy sheets like a smaller version of Excel directly into your Archbee workspace. Nice.
So we got another question. I love these questions because they're really good questions from Nicholas. Is it possible to use your editor and add a screen or video recording directly into the document? So basically something like Loom. I guess you can record what you're doing on your screen and embed it directly into the document. Would that be possible?
Right now, no, only if you put it on YouTube or on Vimeo. But Loom integration, I think we have a lot of requests for it, and we might be able to make that very soon happen.
Nice.
We use Loom. We use Loom internally too. That's great software.
It is. All right, let's see if we have any more questions. Okay, it looks like that's the end of our questions for today. If you guys are watching the replay for this, we're always keeping an eye on the comments, so make sure you just drop your question in the comment section so that way we can come back to you guys. And before we go, again, I want to remind you guys, we are giving away 5 free lifetime deal beta codes. All you have to do is say Archbee in the comment section. We'll enter you into our raffle, and we'll select you to leave a quick video review for our live launch tomorrow. So thank you for your time, Dragos. We really appreciate you being here today. We're so excited to see you go through that 30-minute live demo tomorrow, and as well as answer any questions that people may have for your product. That's my time for today. Thank you for yours. We will see you guys all tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Happy to be here with you and happy you listened to us so far. Bye. See you tomorrow.